Good evening, Sip and Chill family. It is your guy, Coach Reg, back again for another edition of Sip and Chill with Coach Reg. And welcome to our new lounge, YouTube. So I want to be clear that we are not abandoning Facebook. This is simply a different and new venue, right? So it's just different. It's not anything bad. I think it's going to be a great thing. And so listen, when you get in, please be sure to say hello when you get in. Hope you can get in without issue because we're live on the channel and I put that out for you. So yeah, excited. So when you get in, please say hello and welcome to the lounge. So again, I want you to know that we're not abandoning Facebook. The engagement, the way that we've run things and done things up until now, we will continue to do for the foreseeable future. And we will move forward from there as long as this continues to be a good move. So I'm not sure if you're here, but I really do hope you are and can hear me. I believe there may be a bit of a delay, but yeah, we're going to get started in a bit. Man, this is kind of cool. It's a little different, even for me, because I'm accustomed to shooting or delivering, I should say, this content from Facebook. And so unsure how you're receiving it. So when you get in, just let me know that you can hear it and it's not a challenge. I think we're okay, but I want to make sure that the volume is good and it's solid. So I'm going to get to it. So let's see. Let me know you're here. I'm going to ask you to let me know you're in. Let's see. Ask you to say hello when you come in. All right, so anyway, let's get to it. The topic. So this week's topic was kind of interesting and stimulated a lot of discussion. And so excited about that because that's the whole point of it, right? To really discuss that. Oh, you know what I did? You know what I did, guys? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. There are a lot of you who don't know me, and I probably should start there. So I am Coach Reg. I'm a relationship coach, founder of Are You Coached, a relationship coaching platform geared toward helping individuals identify, participate, strengthen, and sustain relationships. My clients are high-achieving professional men and women who have attained many of their professional goals, but may not yet have the interpersonal relationship that best complements him or her. And we coach around those issues, those concerns, those challenges. I've developed a model from which I work with whatever that challenge may be or how they could handle it, but it requires execution. And so that's the cool part about it, because in order to get new outcomes, you have to do different things, right? I have been featured in media, globally syndicated, internationally syndicated podcasts and radio programs. And you can totally get out to our website at areyoucoached.com to see that. And yeah, some of you are new to me. So, and you can, of course, see this on Facebook as well. Not right now, but our a lot of content is there as well in terms of the kinds of things that we do. So what we did was we chose to move the lounge, if you will, from where we deliver to YouTube. And so again, it's new and it's different, but I'm excited about what's to come, quite frankly. And I hope that you can see it. I hope that you can hear it. I hope it makes some sense to you. And yeah. Oh, the other thing too, if this makes sense to you, which I'm pretty sure it will, be sure to share the channel. Be sure to like it. Be sure to share it. Be sure to subscribe. And please comment. Let me know if it's tracking for you. So here we go. Again, back to the content. The topic this week is why can't I let go? Generated a lot of engagement. Some of the questions certainly did that. And I wanted to kind of share with you, kind of lead into how we do this with some topics. And this topic was one of them that warranted some responses to be shared. So one of the questions I had asked the group this week was, well, actually the title of our topic, right? What makes letting go of a relationship so difficult to do? Some of the responses: the fear of never finding who or what you lost ever again. Another response: it's hard to accept. It's just hard to accept and can make you feel like a failure when a relationship ends. Someone else said good sex is hard to walk away from. Most people don't like to start over doing anything, especially a relationship that's when most bring old baggage to a new situation. Another response was familiarity. It's always scary to step into the unknown. Someone else mentioned regret. Regret for what could have been and a fear of being alone. The regret part was poignant, especially for me, because I feel like I wasted 18 years of my life with my ex-husband. But then if I had never married him, I wouldn't have had my sons, who I love dearly. The fear of being alone is less intense now because I realize that you can have a very full life and still not have a husband. So that one is about overcoming, right? Facing your fear, feeling the fear, and quite frankly, doing it anyway. And realize that there are gifts in that, when you choose you. Another question that was posed in the group: what does it take to let go? Some responses were strength, courage, resolve, a made-up mind, evolving. Those are from our RU people. What I didn't share with you about RU Coached, especially for those of you who are new to me, RU Coached is a coaching platform geared towards helping individuals identify, participate, strengthen, and sustain relationships, right? But here's the thing: RU Coached asks questions rhetorically. Are you focused? Are you purposeful? Are you evolving? And if not, are you coached? That's where that comes from. So yeah, I love that answer, evolving. Another response in terms of what does it take to let go: time and courage. I don't like to hurt people, especially someone that I love or loved. So I would not want to know that he's going to be back. I want to know that he's going to be okay, or at least understands why I'm leaving. Someone else said loving you more. Courage and not repeating the same experiences that led you to your current situation with that individual. Another response: a moment of self-truth or embarrassment or a feeling of hurt like you never felt at any other time in a relationship. That thing is so impactful that it makes you say to yourself, I'm done. Yeah, happens. We're going to cover more. Would you please let me know that you can see me and hear me? I just want to get the chat going, because if you have questions, I want to be able to answer those as well and address those. Okay. So yeah, let's keep moving. So another question that was posed in the group this week is, or was, I'm sorry. Yeah. What are you learning about yourself? Oh, excellent. Thank you, T. Thank you so much. What are you learning about yourself while letting go, or what have you learned about yourself since letting go? Response: I'm stronger than I ever imagined, and I'm more than enough. Love that. It's okay to focus on myself and my aspirations. Someone else said, I was in that situation before, letting go of someone emotionally while still with them. It took several months, but during that period, I felt that I had to put myself first. That was more important than him or the relationship. Didn't really like that feeling, and still not sure if putting me first was the right thing to do or just being selfish. That's interesting, because introspection is a natural course, a natural part of it, right? To when you're considering it, because you got to remember, this thing is emotional. If you notice, a lot of these responses, they're all tied to emotion. They're all tied to a feeling, and those feelings have to burn. And sometimes it takes the time it takes whatever it takes, but ultimately to choose you, as painful as it may be. as difficult as it may be, as much discipline as it may require, it's still very necessary. Okay. Someone else says, um, since then I've learned that if I feel I need to let go of someone or move on emotionally, then it's more important to discuss it. Even if you've talked yourself blue in the face, and and to find an easy way out for both of us to move on compassionately, just not for me. These answers are interesting, and they're interesting because even in the hurt, what you're hearing is the person is still being considered. It's still a consideration for how the other person may feel, a desire to help them understand or want them to understand that this is not malicious, this is just necessary. I think it's good, but I still like the part about choosing you and ensuring that you make yourself the priority. Because in that regard, when something is at your expense, it's perfectly fine to be selfish. In fact, you probably need to be more selfish than you otherwise would be, right? So definitely, definitely, definitely consider you and choose you, right? Now, so let's get to that. Let's get to that quickly. Okay, I'm getting messages from people that I cannot respond to. So I'm not on Facebook. So if you can get to YouTube, that would be great. I'll be sure to respond to those messages when I can. So one of the things that I had thought about when I was writing this was, why is letting go so difficult to do? And was it fear? Lack of courage? If it is fear, fear of what? Because again, it affects men and women. I'd actually posted in the group a question for men because I wanted their buy-in. I wanted them to respond. I was hoping they would, because I wanted to know, because guess what? Men have their reasons that we hold on to, right? And it varies to a person. I would not speculate and say that I know why all men do anything. I can't, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm not a plural, I'm a singular, right? So I can't speak for everyone, but there are reasons. And I think that some of those could be convenience. Some could be comfort. Even though it's not as fulfilling as you like it to be or hoped it would be or whatever the case may be. It's some things need to be let go of. Some relationships need to burn. They just need to be done. And that goes back to choosing you, making yourself a priority. A few questions you may ask yourself is, what does it take? What does it take when you're in that space? A couple of things I thought about was acceptance. Acceptance of the reality that this is over for the reasons that it needed to be. Accepting that it's okay that it didn't work or didn't last. Accepting that life will continue and believing that it will. Something else is important, especially when you're hurting, is to give yourself some grace, extend yourself some grace. Because you carry some guilt, like, what could I have done? What should I have done? Did I do this right? What could I have done differently? You can't be in a relationship by yourself. It doesn't work. When there's another person, that other person has to participate, and that has to be their idea. Forgiveness is something else that it takes, or that it may, in my opinion, I believe that it takes. Forgiving yourself for if you perceive it as a failure, or if you're disappointed that it didn't work out, forgive yourself, right? It may require forgiving the other person for whatever hurts or transgressions that may have occurred throughout the relationship. Just some thoughts. Just some thoughts. Let me ask you, what do you think it takes? Because you can talk to me now, and I know you can hear me and see me. So apart from what I shared with you, what do you think it takes? What else does it take? And while you're thinking about that, in terms of being difficult to let go? What are the pros and cons of staying? These are kinds of things you weigh, right? What are the pros of remaining in a relationship that you've clearly figured out that's probably not good for you, or that is no longer good for either of you, and it's time to move on? What are the pros and cons? What are the questions you ask yourself? I mean, because let's be honest, can we just keep a buck? Every relationship, there's some selfishness. What do I mean? We choose people not maliciously to say or to take advantage of someone, but there's what's in it for me. What am I getting? Does this person add value to my life? That's, if they don't, then that's a problem. And again, that's okay to be selfish, because we should want someone to add value to us, right? Not to detract and deduct, right, from our lives. You know, we want someone to add value. So the selfishness is okay in that point. But the selfishness I'm speaking to is when someone does something for you and you kind of like that, and you're like, dang, if I let this thing go, that goes with it. I don't know if I want to do that. I understand that. That's called being human. It's okay. But guess what? You could, it's unfulfilling. I'm not saying do it, because this is not me telling you what to do, but can we just be honest about what it is, if that is the case, in fact the case? You know, I mean, someone had mentioned about good sex being is a thing, and we're going to get into that a bit, because there's someone that shared an article with me that kind of speaks to that and why people stay. Some of the reasons, in particular, women stay. High achieving, professional, high performers, go-getters. Yeah, we're going to cover some of those as well. You guys just aren't going to talk to me, huh? That's fine. That's fine. I hope you choose to. Something else you may ask yourself. What does life look like? What does life look like without the person or the relationship? You know, I was in okay. Bert, I'm gonna come back to that in a second, brother. I'm gonna come back to that in a second. You know, yeah, please keep typing. That's good. I was in a relationship some years ago, and I remember, and I referred to it as lamenting, because I knew that it couldn't continue. Not because, you know, she was bad and I was good, or I was bad and she was good. It just didn't work, and that's okay. But the lamenting, it was more for me to be clear that that's what I wanted to do. Again, we're talking about the difficulty of letting go. What does it take? It takes being honest with yourself. It takes being honest about what you desire. And if you know or believe that that can't be met in that existing relationship, then you have a decision to make. And no one said it was going to be easy. Here's what I have learned, and hopefully you have too, or learning it. Difficult conversations are not easy. They're not comfortable. They're not convenient. Letting someone go, it's not easy. It's not comfortable. It's not convenient. But what it is necessary. And you know, we talked about, I mentioned being selfish a moment ago. Do you know something else on a much deeper level? It's actually an act of selflessness to let something go that you know isn't good for you or the other person, even if they can't see it, even if they don't understand it that way. That's being selfless. I'm not saying, you know, anybody's being a saint here. I'm just saying there's levels to this when you're weighing pros and cons of continuing in something that you know isn't the best. Does that make sense? Okay, Bert, let's see. Familiarity and other perks specific to being, absolutely. Can't waste your time. Exactly. And you know what, Bert, it's about weighing those, right? You know, what's more important? I think that's the question that most of us, each of us, not most, each of us have to ask. If in a situation where you are conflicted around letting someone, or should you stay or should you go? You got to weigh it. Does this make sense to do? Is this healthy? We talked about relationships, right? We're talking about healthy relationships. Is this healthy for me? Is it healthy for the person? And I understand that there are things that get weighed in their considerations. there's family, there may be children, there may be, who knows the reasons that compel you to say, let me hang in here. And I'm not mad at you for taking whatever time you need to figure that out. But here's the reality. If hanging in there continues to be at your expense with no relief, I'm gonna need you to choose you. Okay? It's just that simple. And that's gonna be difficult because here's the thing, you have far more runtime choosing everyone else and not you. That's called a new habit, a new normal. It's called moving differently than you have. And hear me, it's not easy to do, but it's doable. Yeah, it's totally doable. So something you all will learn eventually, those of you who've been with me for a while, and those of you who are just meeting me here on New Lounge on YouTube. Some of my comments, my topics come from, our topics come from people, conversations that I have. People share things with me. I'm like, man, it would be great because there are probably more people who could benefit from this message or this type of this subject, because it's real, it's relative, and it's quite frankly relatable. And so it prompted me to ask a question. Oh, CT says, she said, a person has to be self-aware, need to understand why you're making the choice to stay with someone who's not choosing you. Yeah, I concur. But you know that awareness is, I think it's possible that people still stay though. You know, you can realize this isn't, people can realize, right, that this is not good for them, but they choose to continue even though they know, because here's the interesting thing about relationships, right? Or an interesting thing is that we stay with people. Many of us have stayed with folks we probably shouldn't have stayed with for the time that we did, because we want to believe that they're good. We want to believe the good in them. We don't want to, it's sometimes hard to see what's right in front of you, because it would say, wait a minute, you can be self-aware, but you're like, you know, something's off, but you still, we can become conflicted because we still want to believe the best about the person that we're in a relationship who isn't choosing us. And so, yeah, you can be self-aware, but still not yet ready, or still hasn't, the epiphany hasn't occurred, or the person's just not there yet, you know, to be like, all right, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore, what have you. So yeah, absolutely. Self-awareness is paramount. It's imperative. It's very necessary. But although being self-aware, you know, there's still an emotional component to this whole thing. And that's why it's not easy. It's not always easy. It's just not always easy. Yeah. So again, the question that was, someone that had, I just thought about this, and this was an example, right? A scenario. Is being a good person enough? You know how you know that, you know, you could be with somebody, you know, they're a good person, you're a good person, but does that mean that you're going to be good together? Is it enough? Being in a relationship for 2+ years, do you agree? If you're a person in a relationship and you've been in that relationship for 2+ years, you kind of know what you have, right? I mean, is it fair to say that this is what it's going to be? This is who my person is. This is who I am, right? The likelihood of them becoming someone different, high or low? Yeah. So the question becomes, am I willing to accept what I know, or am I still hoping the person will change? The thing about these types of questions and this topic, first and foremost, there's never any judgment, right? Because we're all individuals and we all have to make the choices that we want to make and need to make for our lives, our loves, and relationships, right? And you do that when you're ready, if ever you're ready. But no one can tell you, and no one's opinion matters in that process. It's about how you feel and what's best for you. If they told you, right, we're going back to knowing what you have, accepting what you know. And if they tell you in words, but their actions are incongruent, what compels believing things may change if I hang in there a bit longer? To Bert's point, familiarity. It can breed contempt because we know each other. I'm familiar with you. You're familiar with me. I want to believe you, but then you continue to disappoint me. Hence the contempt. Let's move on. So this is kind of cool. I was actually speaking to someone last week, in fact, and I shared with her that this was going to be the topic, and I'm actually going to be on our podcast on Sunday. So when that information comes out, I'll be sure to share it if there's something you think you want to be a part of or just tune into. But I was telling her about this topic, and she was saying to me that there are one of the reasons that that high achieving women remain in relationships. I thought, before I share with you her idea, other women have shared with me that loneliness or the fear of being alone is the reason that women stay longer than they should, stay in relationships that are unhealthy and that are not fulfilling, non-gratifying, longer than they should, because they fear the loneliness. Uncertain if another companion will come along, much like someone said in the comments. And then also that there are not enough available quality men. And so that's kind of where I thought it not so much ended, because I'm not a woman. I can't speak to that. So I had to talk to more women, right? And ironically enough, someone shared an article with me yesterday that highlighted 3 reasons why high achieving women stay in relationships, unhealthy relationships, longer than they should. Man, oh man, oh man. So, ready? The first one. High performing women are willing to put in the work. That's what makes them high performing. That's what makes them high achieving, right? And they work harder. And I've said it differently because I just believe this about women. Women are innately nurturers, caregivers. And so sadly with that, even though it's a wonderful attribute, sometimes that attribute allows for passes from my gender that have not been earned, nor are they deserved. And so you work harder because you're a perfectionist and you gotta make it work because you don't fail. Look at your life, look at your career. You're at the top of the food chain because you bust your hump. Bravo. But the challenge is give that effort to someone who's earned it and deserved it, not someone who hasn't. And you can't save a ship that is sinking. You can't plug all the holes. You know, the image comes to mind where someone's on a boat and, you know, they're trying to stop it. There's like all kinds of holes and they're like, this thing is sinking and there's no way. Water is going to come in regardless. And the boat is going to sink. It's the same thing. You cannot save it. You can't be in relationship alone. You can't. It requires participation from you and your person. Yeah. Any thoughts? Any thoughts? Number 2, toxic men tend to target powerful women. According to the article, a toxic man is a narcissist. I would agree. You know, if you check out some of our content, you'll see that we did some months ago a topic on narcissists and empath, and how powerful, quite frankly, narcissistic tendencies can be in relationships, because they are totally charming, totally engaging to draw you in. And then when they realize they have you, it's a completely different ballgame. Not going to get into all of that now, but I get the whole toxicity of a narcissist. Or, I'm sorry, not a diagnosed person, but someone who exhibits those tendencies. Number 3, and this was also in the comments, their sex lives are blinding. Good sex will keep you longer than you should stay. It's true. I bet there are people on this stream, or maybe not on this, I won't say that, but there are people who may see this at some point who have been kicking it with somebody that they know is no good, but because of that physical intimacy, they stay. Okay. And listen, these are not judgments. These are just observations, and they're not mine. This is from an article. Some of the things that we talked about, the questions I asked, they are mine. But the bottom line is this: you are, quite frankly, responsible, and it's up to you. It's not to suggest that you are, that, any of us are doing it wrong. It's just understand why. Or be aware, like T said, there's an awareness that comes with all of this. And it's okay as long as you're okay with it. That's really the short of it, So yeah, I felt like there was something else I wanted to share with you. Yeah. Any questions or comments? Because I wanted to share one more thing with you, and we're going to be out of here in a little bit. I'm still getting used to this platform, and I hope this is coming across clearly. I think there may be a delay, but I'm not sure. I hope there isn't. But yeah, this is just different than the way we typically shoot. So yeah, we're gonna make it happen. Any questions or comments before we go on to the next thing I want to share with you? And please feel free to type them in, because I'll see them, but I'll share this with you. And if not, then we'll wrap pretty soon. So I believe that how we begin is an indicator of how we will exist in relationships and possibly end. In other words, if you begin well, if you begin respectful, if you begin courteous, if you begin considerate, if you begin knowing what your values are and checking in with your person, understanding what their values are, right? Because that's the whole point of this exercise. When you are getting to know someone, it's information gathering to determine if continuing is what you want to do. But while you're doing that, pay attention. And if you treat each other well, it's an indicator of how you will exist. And should you both be at a point where you say, you know what, this is no longer working, and I want you to fly. And you get there. I want you to win. I want you to be fulfilled. I want you to have a fulfilling life. It's how you end. If you begin respectfully, you're likely to end respectfully, as long as you maintain that during. Let's be clear. I'm not saying it happens. I said it's an indicator. When we choose partners, we don't often intentionally focus on the parts we can't see. We typically focus on what we can. My encouragement is to focus on the parts you can see, because it's like a box is checked, right? If you see someone and you find them attractive, okay, you know that. Now let's focus on the parts that you can't see to see if that's even more attractive, right? If it's more aligned with who you are and what you desire. Does it take time? Sure. Does it require patience? Absolutely. Although I understand how easily it can happen, I'm just inviting you to consider altering your approach. Because the thing is, we have habits and we move in certain ways because it's what we've done. Just because we've always done it a way does not mean we're getting the outcomes we desire. So perhaps there may be some modification required is all. Again, I'm big on values. I'm big on values for a reason. I refer to them as values and care abouts, because when you know what they are, you can recognize when they go unmet. Knowing what you care about, knowing what you value allows you to establish good standards for your life. So you can recognize when they are met, exceeded, or when they've gone unmet. Knowing what your standards are allows you to establish healthy boundaries, and not just in word only. Can we just be very clear? You cannot expect, nor should you expect someone to honor what you don't, be it your values, your standards, or your boundaries. And if you're not going to do it, how could you possibly expect someone else to? Just do it. So here's my last question. Does letting go suggest that you're choosing yourself? Does it suggest you're choosing yourself? Only you can answer that, by the way. For whatever the reason you let go, does it suggest that you chose you? Now, the next thing I want to ask you to do, if you haven't already, please, please, please subscribe to the channel. We want to get this verified so we don't have to use the bit.ly link to get here. I didn't want to have you going to, click on a weird link. Just get here from bit.ly. Hey, Patricia, how you doing? Okay, so it made some sense. I hope so. And I think you said that yes, it does. Does letting go, I'm guessing you're answering yes to, does letting go suggest that you're choosing yourself? Yes, I agree. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about this. This is going to be different. I'm adjusting to this platform because I'm adjusting doing it here, but we're going to make it work because this is kind of cool. And I'm glad that you can hear me. I'm glad that it's clear that you can see me. And again, I don't know about the latency or the delay. Hopefully it's not too bad. Thank you for those of you who chose to chime in. That is awesome. Next week, we're going to, and I don't often do this, so I don't want to set your expectations. I want to be, as I told my folks when we were doing this on Facebook, I want you to understand, I don't often announce the topics ahead because I don't always know what they're going to be, but I show up. That's what you can count on. But next week's topic is going to be on turning complaints into requests. I think that'll be kind of cool, and I hope that you'll find some value in it as well. Hey, listen, have a fantastic evening, a fantastic weekend. Please stay safe, stay healthy, physical distance, do all the things that you need to do. Just stay safe. Hey, listen, it's your guy, Coach Reg, and I love love. Hey, listen, I'll see you all soon. Hey, yeah, Patricia, I'm glad you're choosing yourself. Yes, and you will have more of this because if you start to see the content, if you review some of the content on the channel, you will hear a lot of that. Absolutely, absolutely. You'll see a lot of it. If you have any questions, how to contact me is there in the channel. Please be sure to subscribe and share this with as many people because, again, we want to get the channel verified and keep this thing growing. Thank you for being a part of the journey, and I'm excited that you're here with me. Listen, once again, it's your guy, Coach Reg, and I love love. I'll see you soon. Take good care.